Hello there, and welcome to my little arty corner here on YouTube. I'm Angela Porter, and it's my pleasure to share my art and my way of working, my thoughts, hints and tips, and tutorials for drawing, stylized and simple patterns and designs. Well, some may argue with me that they're simple, but I try to do them step by step, and the hints and tips as to how I work. Which doesn't mean necessarily it's you have to work that way, but it may help you understand and gain some confidence or inspiration to draw for yourself. So I thought I'd start today's video because it's been a couple of days since I last made a video. I did some serious adulting Friday, which wiped me out yesterday. Was it Friday or Thursday? Friday. Serious adulting, I think. Yes, I had to do some serious adulting. Yesterday I was just wiped, and it was so hot. It wasn't as hot as it has been, but it felt really hot. This evening though, it's Sunday the 18th of June. There's a breeze out, it's cool. My computer tells me it's 17 degrees Celsius outside. I'm feeling a bit shivery, and it's delicious. It really, truly is delicious in here. I've put some incense on downstairs, some Japanese incense, and it's just wafting its way upstairs, which is fantastic. Never thought it would get all the way up here, but it's delightful. So, I witter on. Thank you if you've subscribed to my channel. If you haven't, please consider doing so if you like what you see. And make your mind up after you've watched a bit of the video. My videos can be quite long because I like to show my process well. And I witter on at great length often. Thumbs up for videos are always welcome, and sharing my videos would also be very welcome if you'd like to do that with any other arty friends that you have or people you might be interested in it. And if you do get inspired by my work and you post your images on social media, then please tag me in it. You can find me either as Angela Porter or Angela Porter _ artword. I think that's the other one, or just artword. I'm never quite sure where and what I am these days. I keep it the same, but I just get confused. So this little red sketchbook is a new sketchbook, and I showed some of the pages in a post, but I thought I might like to, I think this may be more of a show and tell and talk about things more than anything else. So bear with me, because I showed these in a sort of like a very short reel, I think, for Instagram and so on. But I have got something I've got a couple of things I've been working on. In fact, there's more than a couple of things I've been working on and learning from. This is the very first page in the sketchbook, and it's an A5 size. So it's the size, there's my hand, okay? And so it's half an A4 sheet, about half a letter size sheet. Letter and A4 aren't exactly the same. I think letter is narrower and longer than A4, but you get the idea. And this is an Art Creations from Royal Talons, so the paper is ivory, it is off-white, and it's a nice sturdy, it's quite thick paper, it's almost like thin card, and it's smooth enough to draw on with pleasure. You can use light washes of water. Can't do too many layers because the paper does begin to break down, but I really enjoy using it. And A5 is a nice size, especially for slipping in a handbag. Well, depends on the size of handbag or purse you have. I tend to have big ones when I'm out and about. Don't often use a small one these days. I just throw stuff in. I think it's because I have to carry my inhaler and the spacer, the volumizer in it with it, and just in case. So this I like. How did I colour it? That's a very good question. I think I used Inktense. I did use Inktense and some metallic gold, which you may be able to see. Not pen, but yes, this was pen. It was the Pentel dual tone, I think it is, or dual colour glitter pens, and they are gorgeous. The gold looks different on light colours and dark colours, so you get a variation in them. It is very lovely, and the glitter doesn't wipe off. Little bits do, but not much. And I wasn't happy with this when I finished drawing it. I wasn't happy when I started adding colour to it, but I persevered to the end, went back and intensified colours. There's some more work I could do, and I may in the future. We'll see. But I love my dragon face. That was not deliberate. I didn't think about doing it. It just was the shape of a line and suddenly an eye formed and then the snout of a weird dragony or birdie-like creature, who knows, appeared. And I just thought, okay, then we got a guardian for my sketchbook and a green eye because it ties in with the lovely greens I've got here. This page, I haven't done anything with colour yet. I do want to scan it in at a higher resolution than I did to show these off, because I might want to add colour to this digitally as well and preserve it uncoloured. Not that I'd mind adding colour or redrawing things, because I get an opportunity then to make adjustments and so on. And I'll tell you about that in a moment. If I go back to this one, there's not a lot there I would want to adjust. If I'd put some, you know, like these mooka-ish tendrils or things like that, I might want them looping around here to bring the A as if it's held in the foliage. At the moment, it's just dunk on top. But this thing's beginning to grow through it and, you know, behind it, and it's nestled in there nicely as if it's lying down and having a little nap. So monograms are featuring well in this one. This letter B, I did do this in a video about a week ago, and I added some colour in the video, but what I've done off camera is I've added some of these patterns that are inspired by Rebecca Blair's work, and just to see what will happen. There's more needed there. There's more, you know, sort of embellishment or darkening, highlight, shadows, and so on. And the same here, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do. This one is, I'm happy-ish with it now at the end, I think. Happy-ish because I haven't got enough contrast to help to differentiate different elements. They're all very much of a similar saturation and greyness, so there's not a lot of difference in brightness and so on. I may go back and add some white dots in these parts, or make, you know, I have got gold on here again. You can see if I move it, you can see the gold being caught in the light. The background was the biggest problem because I chose a blue that is sort of like quite an intense-ish blue. It's a turquoisey blue, but everything was lost on it. So I went back and I spent quite a bit of time adding this sort of hatching pattern, this random sort of like broken pattern. It looks like Shaduk from Entangled, but it's not, it's different. And just in random directions, strokes, and just joining them together to darken that background, hoping I can lift everything else up, which has worked. This I'm quite pleased with, how I've got it looking like it's got plenty of form, volume, 3D, dimensional. People use lots of different terms for that, but it does look like these are curling over and there's a gap underneath them this way. I love my tendril-y things here. And these little seed pods, they pick out the colours here. So I have kept to a pretty limited palette in the top part. But to get the colours I've got there, I used a mixture of the Kuretake Gansai Tambi Art Nouveau set. And then I went back with Inktense, I think, was it Inktense? I think I used Inktense pencils to intensify the colours because they were just so pale and insipid that it just didn't work. So once I'd done the background, so I went back and I'm happy with that. This is the same kind of thing. But down here, I just use the Kuretake Zig, and it gives that, it's almost like a grounding. It almost looks like rocks or a hill, and this is floating in space somewhere or something. My one big regret here, these white dots in that sea. Why I did that is beyond me. I can't do anything about it. It's done with a pigment ink, which means it's permanent. And I'm not going to try and cover it up because I know those will show through whatever colour I try to use. So we're not doing that. But it's all a lesson for me. And as I look back, I'll remember these lessons. This one, because I'd done so many wet layers on this side, some of the paint had popped through on this side. So I thought, right, we're going to distress ink it. And I did. And I used blues and browns and yellowy colour and a bit of orangey colour here and a reddish colour just to add a background colour. But when I finished drawing, I knew I needed to add more colour. So I thought, coloured pencils and Gamsol up here. Colours just weren't intense enough for me. Let me just put my camera on autofocus, otherwise it's in and out of focus every time I waft my hand across. I am working on bringing colours out. I've been using watercolours down here. I think these were Inktense. Watercolours on some of the flowers and these leaves. I did use the coloured pencils, I think. Or did I? No, I didn't. I think I used Inktense pencils there. So I'm trying out different media to see what happens. This one, again, distress ink background, water dried with a heat tool. So you get these lovely water spots with those dark edges to them, which shows through, depending on what you use to colour. As long as what you use to colour is translucent, that texture will show to a greater or lesser degree, depending on how thick you make that layer of colouring medium. These here I am going to do in gold. I'm not going to use the gold gouache because these are tiny spaces, and gouache is, I know you can water it down, but I'd want it quite opaque. But I've got a new gold pen to try, and that'll be gold there. And I will add some gold in some of these areas to balance it out. And I've added colour with Inktense to these, and here I've been blending colours as well, matching what colours there are in the background. Not sure what I'm going to put here yet. I shall see how it all goes, but I may want to go back here and just add some shading. But it's interesting, it's different for me, this, but I'm prepared to work with it and see where I go. Okay, these two pages have been very interesting. This one was just a pen drawing. I haven't done anything with it. I'm not sure if I'm going to. I do know I want to scan it in on high resolution. Pen lines are quite fine. That makes me uncomfortable because I quite like the bold black lines, but it's fine. And I did some hand lettering. This was how I was feeling, when was it, 16th of June, which was Friday. That's right, so Thursday would have been my big adulting day, I think, and Thursday, was it Thursday? No, it wasn't. No, yeah, this was big adulting. Friday was a bit of big adult. I've had a few big adulting days this week, sorting out medication and various other things, so I'm a bit zonked on that. Adulting does that to me. I get stressed. I don't know I'm stressed though with the antidepressants, but it still has a physical effect on me. And whatever medication I've had changed or new stuff I'm trying, HRT, I'm feeling very tired very suddenly about 8 o'clock at night. So I'm hoping I'll have enough brain strength to get through this. So that's got work to be done to it. Very floral, very dainty, because smaller pages mean I tend to draw smaller, which means daintier things and tiny spaces to fill in. So if I'm going to add colour or shading to this, I've got to work out precisely what tools I want to use to do that. This page, I absolutely love my flower. I love my background here, which was a bit samey in terms of saturation with the flower. So I drew some spirals and dots, a spiral and dot pattern with a white pen, just to take some of that colour away, and it's worked nicely, as well as put that interesting texture in the background quite subtly, and I like that. But for some reason it came into my head that, oh, I wonder if I could heat emboss gold. Heat embossing involves using either a stamp with some sticky glue, or I've got some pens, or I found a pen that had this sticky glue in it, Versamark, and I tried to colour in with that glue, and and I don't know how many times I added layers and things. It just took me forever to get it, and you can see it's very thick, and I didn't want that thickness, but I absolutely love the shine on this. I love the dimensionality of it. It is a lot like raised gold leaf, except it's not gold leaf. The embossing powder is very fine powdered plastic of a kind. It's not perfect. There's lots of, texture in it, but I'm fine with that as well, because I am not perfect with this. And so that's something I want to look at in the future, but I'm going to look at if I can buy ink that's sticky, that I can use with a fine brush or something else to control how thick the lines are, and perhaps add a bit of colour to it so I can see where it's gone, because that was part of the problem, and that's why this came through to the this one came through to this side as well. But mainly it's my flower, and it's a new flower from me. Yep. And the leaves, I'm really pleased with how my leaves have turned out, and for me, I'm pleased with the colouring. This was all done with, I used Inktense. Yes, I used all Inktense for this flower, though over here I used the Gansai Tambi Art Nouveau set, I think. Yes, I did. And for the background, I used Inktense. Yeah. And some shadows are needed and so on, but you know, it is what it is now. This one is a work in progress. Again, because you can see where the heat embossing was done, I've got these dark marks. So I added Distress ink. I knew they'd show through no matter what I did. I could have used white gesso and hid them up, but it's a sketchbook. This flower is a new one from me, and rather than draw another big one, which I might not fit in, I decided to take this little motif and add lots of them going up and a bud here and there. And the flowers I'm enjoying, the leaves I'm enjoying doing as well. I used coloured pencils here for these. I used the Colour Soft. Yeah, I used Colour Soft, and I used a white pencil as well as the underneath of the colour to block out some of this green, so that the colours of the pencils will show through. And it also helps with blending them when you go back with it a bit. Different story. Over here, I made a mistake with one of these. I had 3 of these squares, easy enough to sort. I didn't have one like that. I like this pattern. I like this edge. It looks like it's torn. I'm not sure whether this is paper that's been torn and stuck down, or whether this is paper that's been torn and stuck over it. It depends where I put the shadow, and I think I may put the shadow underneath here, so this paper looks like it's above it. This is the new gold. I've got some of the gold from the new gold pen. I'll show you my new gold pens. Oh, and a white pen, and I've got a white gel pen. These are Pentel. These are Pentels, I think. Oh, God's glasses, Angela, so you can see tiny writing. Pentel, yeah, Pentel Hybrid Gel Grip DX, and this is metallic gold. So this is a permanent pen when it dries, and it does give a nice shine to the gel ink, to the ink when it does take quite a while to dry, so I've got to remember that. Little dots don't show up quite so well, but they're there. I'm not sure if I can get them. You can see them, you know, when they're dark, they're there, but they do stand out. And I also discovered that they have the hybrid gel grip, which is, again, it's the pigment ink, it's white, but they have it in an 07 size, finer than the other one I've got, so I had to get one of them. Okay, and this is one of the Versa markers, which has got this sticky ink in. I ordered some new ones because my others are old, and I don't know if that's partly the problem. They've got a brush tip on one end, and the other end they've got a chunky bullet tip. They haven't got, the brush tip has got a fine tip, because I couldn't see where I was putting the ink. Get the idea. This one, I like this. It's something a bit different. Lots of big spaces here and here, because I will go back and add patterns. I want to try coloured pens once I've added colour there. But some interesting patterns and shapes. I like this here. I'm quite chuffed with that one, how that's turned out. Again, is that underneath? I think it's underneath, isn't it? We've got a crack here, another layer underneath. And this is one that I was working on yesterday, and this is really a learning curve. And you can see it's a letter E. I've done a few D's. I haven't done an F there. Yeah, I've done a couple of D's. So I've done an E here. And I've done sort of vertical columns of patterns and flowers here. Again, this centre is something new to me. This is something completely new and different. This one is, well, it came. True diamond shapes, and off I went. And that's a variation of well sort of like Rebecca Blair inspired. I think that is a Zen, not an official, you know, like a Zentangle HQ's pattern, but it is. And I don't know, I can't remember its name. If I can find it again, I'll tell you. For this, I used the Kuretake Gansai Tambi Art Nouveau colours to paint some of this area, this one, and you know, these here. It's not the background there, but here. And I didn't like the colours I'd produced here at all. They're mucky, they don't look right. So I've used coloured pencils on some petals, like here, and these ones here. You can see the original colours there, and here what's been brought out. Brings out the colour much more. My mind's thinking now, perhaps I ought to go with the base colour, just a single colour, base colour, and then I can add shadow and perhaps some highlight if necessary with coloured pencils, if that's what I want to do. I did use coloured pencil around here, but I haven't really got the contrast enough to bring out some dimension. The background, I think I did. No, I just used coloured pencils here, and I started using a blender pen, a Derwent blender pen, but it was actually picking up the ink. It was rub because they've got a very slight abrasive quality to them as well, which helps blend really nicely. But they also have a habit of picking up any ink that they can. And so I just went to blending with the coloured pencils lightly in layers. I didn't use Gamsol because Gamsol I know will shift this. I was using the Dokumentus Ink. And again, you know, it's working out what inks are best for what. So, you know, I'm going to have to get some pens that I fill with a different kind, you know, a water-based black ink. Hopefully one that's very dark, and then see how that works, but I won't be able to use water-based medium with them. But I like this lovely grey-green colour here and here. That for some reason that just feels right, but I think I've chosen the wrong colours here and so on. But again, that's me not being sure of my colours or having a secure feeling of what colour palette I want. The colour I put here, I think I did use the Gansai Tambi paints to do the background, and it was just not right. Yeah, I really do have problems. Okay, my other sketchbook here, let me just move that out of the way a mo, because I've started an A4 sketchbook as well. And if you're interested, this is a SeaWhite of Brighton sketchbook, and I started drawing on this yesterday. SeaWhite, this is an all media sketchbook, so the paper is 160 grams. I'm not sure what that is in pounds. 160 GSM. So it's quite sturdy. It's thicker than most sketchbook papers. It's also sized. Now, sized is an application of something like gum arabic that makes the paper more resistant to damage with water-based media. It's not watercolour paper, but it will take water-based media. So I haven't done any colouring because, again, I want to scan this in before I even attempt to add colour to this. And I just, oh no, do you know what? Those colours in the last picture I showed you, a lot of those colours were actually a mixture of ink tints and graphy tints. Yeah, so it wasn't the Kuretake I used. There, worked that one out eventually. So I do want to add colour to this. Not sure if I'm going to add anything in these sections. I think I'll add colour first and work it out afterwards. But F, it's letter F. It's a strange F, but it is an F. An F is for fungi. So a lot of these look like fungi, funguses, mushrooms, toadstools, weird things that you might find growing in the woods or under the water. And even these. There's weird kinds of fungi you can get. They don't all have pretty mushroom caps like these over here. I've got these that are the ones that you see growing in layers on trees. These are a different kind, fanciful. Inspired by Elena James's work more than anything. But got seeds everywhere and little bubbles. I might put some of these in some sections as well, which is mostly done. And then the one I'm working on at the moment, how long have I burbled on for? 24 minutes, okay. This is my letter D. As much as I love an A5 sketchbook, the smaller size of pages means that this quicker drawing can be done. I tend to work smaller scale. Here I'm using one of my thicker nibs in the TWISBIs. And the TWISBI Eco pens. I got 3. Extra fine, I think that's the fine and that's the medium, or that might be medium and that's fine. This is the one that glows in the dark, is exposed to light. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway. So, well, I know it does, I've seen it, so it's getting a charge here, so it'll glow on my desk for a while tonight. I love them. I fill them with Dokumentus Ink, which is it's an archival ink, it's acid-free, it's used in registry offices and for official documents all over the world, and it's meant to last more than 100 years. And I think the feeling I got from the reviews were, it'll outlast the paper. One day the paper will rot away and you will find this lacy pile of writing and drawing that's left behind because everything else is gone, which is quite an amusing thought to me. Like ghosts of the page. Yeah. So this is I'm on the go. It's D4 Daisy. Because I got daisies here. Yes. Because I'm in a flower mode now. And I think I've just about done enough daisies, but I'd like to show you how I draw these, because I think I want one down here and one up here. So let's have a look. Shall I zoom in a bit? Let's zoom in a bit, and hopefully I won't move this. I know I won't move the page around much. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw. There's the arc in basically for the outer bit of the flower, and then I'm going to draw in this inner crest, the inner part of it, like so. And I'm going to using my glow in the dark TWISBI. And then I'm going to start around the outside edge. You can start here or from the centre. I'm working from this because I put the guidelines in. If I don't put the guideline in, I work somewhere close to the centre and just see what happens. So I'm putting lots of little ovals side by side. I think the pencil I'm using, it's a Tombow monograph. You shake it and it advances the lead. And I think it's a 2B I've got in there. So it's quite a soft pencil, so it erases quite easily as long as I don't press too hard. Then I'm going to put another row in here, but I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. They might nestle up neatly, they might not. I'm not trying to keep them all the same size. In fact, if you vary the size, it makes it look a bit more natural. And then some more here. We'll just get some smaller ones. And then I'm just going to fill this in with whatever size needs to be put there, like so. So that's my centre. So let me turn this on the side, because I reckon if I draw on the side, you might see my pen moving. So I'm going to start by drawing this out, a line. Just putting a little heart, making a little heart-shaped top to it. I'm going to go from this side, I'm going to make that heart-shaped top again. And again. Again. Just go around, and again, you don't have to make these, and again. That word's coming up a lot, the mistress of again today. You don't have to make them all the same width or the same height. The pencil line's just there as a guide. Don't stress too much if some are taller than others or shorter. Really isn't important. If anything, it makes them more natural looking. So I've done that. Then what I'm going to do here, at the base of each petal, I'm just going to draw like a little U shape from one line to the other, and if I get any little white gaps, I'm just going to go back and just touch them up with some ink just to fill them in. I'm not going to get all of these, but we'll get enough of them. Again, it's hand drawn, So as long as they're tiny, 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 it's not going to be a glaring error. But I quite like the U shape I get at the bottom, and this ink there just suggests that the petals are going underneath the centre of the daisy. So that's one daisy. Actually, I might put one over here. It's down here, it's quite a nice shape space. This just needs something here. But I think here I'm also going to pop in another leaf. That's quite a big daisy. I think I'll pop in another leaf on this side. So there's a gentle S curve there and a reverse S curve on this side. Then I'm just going to draw lines that get a little bit further apart at the end. I'm going to go back over this line just to thicken it and darken it a little bit. So that's my way of saying the shadow here, this is where it helps to pick up layers and move things about. And then I need to put the veins in, and to do that I'm going to do an upside down J almost, or an L, a lowercase l. So I'm starting with a hook at the end and then a long straight line. I could have hooked it up at the end with another S kind of shape, and then I'm just going to go and add some ink to the ends here. So I'll do the same over here. Now it looks like an R but without the straight bit going up. That one's more like an S shape, as is that one. And then I'll put a little one on there. And again, I'm just going to go and add some line weight here just to, oh, wrong side. Ha! Oh well, we'll do the other side, and then it will look like it's deliberate on this leaf. The other leaves don't have it, but this leaf is unique. I think I may need to just pop another one of those there. You might be able to see down the centre of the leaves I've got these lines like this. So I just felt those centres needed picking out in some way. Just missed one over here, just noticed. I'm going to try and avoid joining the veins together, so I'm going in between them. If I've got a big gap, I can sneak another one in, like that. And I think I'm going to need another leaf here just to neatly fill this particular gap in. Like so. So let's go. Okay, so I'm doing S shapes here on the outside. And again here. And they might be going in a different direction to the other leaves. And I think they are, but I'm fine with that and for what it is. And yeah, the point of my leaf sticks a little bit outside my pencil lines, and I'm fine with that. In fact, I think I might just need to pop another one in like that. That makes a bit more sense. There we go. So that's created a nice bit of foliage there. Up here I'm going to do the same kind of thing for the centre, but because this centre is looking a bit on the small side, I'm going to start using that pencil line as the base of where I'm going to put the bottom of these shapes, these little bits of stamen. These in a daisy are actually the flower, tiny, tiny little flowers. Daisies are compound flowers, and each one of those little circular things you can see in the middle of a daisy is actually an individual flower. So each of them produce pollen. So these are the flowers. The petals there are just an advertising sign for bees and other insects, you know, like, come here, I have nectar, free food. So that's how they get pollinated, by insects that land on them, have a drink of the nectar, and then take some pollen, and they transfer them then to other flowers, which is very clever. Yeah, flowers are advertising signs for bees. And they look quite different in the wavelengths of light that the humble bee can see. They don't see flowers the way us humans do. As they view a lot more, they're able to see a lot more ultraviolet light, as we don't generally. There are some people who can see some of the ultraviolet spectrum. I seem to be one of those people because I'm able to see another colour outside violet. And that's quite unusual. It's most common in people who haven't got lenses in their eyes, but I've definitely got lenses. It can be a problem with the back of your eye, but I have no problems. It's just one of those things. And oops, I've gone into the leaf with that. It's fine though. Sometimes it can be quite hard to tell where the leaf stops and the flower begins, so I'm just going to thicken that line up there. So yeah, so daisies, you know, so to go back to that, so bees can see flowers in different kinds of light, or they see in a different light, so they're able to see all these patterns on petals of flowers, which are basically almost like runway markings for them. So it directs them where they need to go to get that nectar and to brush up against pollen as well, or to collect the pollen, which they take back to the beehive, and they actually eat it and then vomit it up to make honey. Yeah, I know. It's disgusting, but honey's still nice. And eating bee vomit, how wonderful. And it's just fascinating. So that there's got to be videos out there showing this. There's bound to be a good few of them on YouTube as well as elsewhere. So if you get a chance to have a look, if it interests you, do so, because it is really interesting. No, I haven't got any links because I saw this many years ago, pre-YouTube days, and it wowed me then. And I'm sure that, you know, the technology that we have for seeing such things and for replicating this, as you know, it has to be put into light that the human eye can understand, so it is an interpretation. But it's just fascinating. I think I'll put a leaf here as well. Go back and do that. I would have remembered to. It's a tiny leaf here, but it's fine. Leaves different sizes as well. Oh, okay. Putting those in first. Genius. Not. Okay. Oh, wrong end. The line. I am getting tired already, so there we are. So I've drawn some daisies. So I've got a nice daisy patch that my letter D is sat upon. I think I need some leaves around here. Yeah? So I'm just giving my ink a moment to dry. I'll come back over here and just move it over. So I think I'll have a ginormous leaf here that goes out to the corner, because that would make... yeah, I've picked up some ink on my hand. Oh, darn it. Oh well, it is what it is. I don't think I've smudged it. I think I've just picked some up. I think we've had a little bit of light rain here, and even though it's cool, there's humidity has increased. Well, apparently the computer's telling me there's heavy rain here now. It's lying. There is definitely no heavy rain. In fact, I don't think there's any rain at all. The computer says heavy rain. Angela says no. Sorry. Birds are tweeting lovely as we're heading towards, you know, a duskyish kind of time. It's not quite dusk yet, but because it's cloudy-ish here, it's, you know, light cloud, although it is cloudy, then it's starting to get a little bit darker than it normally would be this time of day, this time of the year here in the UK. Okay, so I'll just do that. We'll add another one, perhaps here. Everywhere else should be nice and dry. I wanted to go back and add ink here. I can see a white spot, but I'm not going to just for now. I realised after drawing a few of these leaves early on, I went, oh, I should have drawn them with a gap and a dot in the middle of them rather than in straight lines, you know, solid lines, but it is what it is and we'll live with it. So I've got all of this done. So I've got a fair few daisies there. And, you know, I'm sure there's other flowers that begin with D, but my brain isn't firing. And so I do like to create some open space now because this is quite dense with ink here. So to have some open spaces would be lovely. And I just think that my shapes like this will be really lovely because I can layer them over, they can go over and under one another to create some complexity. Like so. And where they touch, I'm just going to add a little bit of ink there, like here, just to, you know, in the way that stained glass, pieces of stained glass would be. Don't want to go that way. Do want to go that way, but I really want to. I'll go up here. So I'll work out how I can get one to overlap with some of them now. But it creates this lovely open space in a very organic way. And I just think it carries on this feeling of plants and growth. Things that we can, you know, we relate to nature really. And these little spaces could be little havens for patterns and for different colours, but to be treated a bit like stained glass, I suppose. This is going to be interesting now. Take this right the way down to the bottom. Is my phone going? I did some serious adulting today as well. My car insurance was due for renewal, so I had to phone up and sort that one out, which was actually quite easy. I've got a phone back in a couple of weeks, because they've got the time I passed my driving test wrong by about 21 years. And so the longer you've been driving, you can get a lower insurance. So if that's the case, then I have that extra refunded, as it were. So this one will also go under here. So we've got some weaving of these stems happening quite naturally, which adds some interest there. You can see this happening here. I do like that. That's worked quite effectively. Okay, so where else can I do this? I think I could do one coming down here. Careful to watch your ink, Angela. So let's go down here, and then I'll have one that comes around and up. There. You can see where they carry on up this way then and overlap, which is quite cute. And I can have another one that perhaps goes under here as well. It goes underneath like that. Again, just adding those little bits of ink where I can. I'm going to have to go back and check all of this. It feels sometimes a little bit tedious, but it's really worth it because it adds so much. Just that tiny little bit of ink adds so much to the pattern, that distinct darkness. It just helps to draw things out. And here I'm going to do that same kind of thing here with this one. Just going to go back up this way. Like so. So we've got a different weaving in a different direction. And I could add one on the outside here, but I'm not going to, because I would go well outside because I'd want to go this way. So I'm not going to. But I wouldn't mind having a teeny tiny one that touches the bottom of the paper there. But as it goes up back to where these two join, it would carry on back underneath. So that's how I'm going to leave it. This one, I think it could have one that goes over here. So. And then this one perhaps could have one that goes, okay, this is going to be interesting because I'm going to go down here, around and behind. So it'll go up, follow this line, but then I've got one that will go back this way. Which is quite intriguing. And just for some more intrigue, just add another one there, and that just kind of adds that little bit of extra little bit of layering going on there. I'm intrigued. I'm really enjoying this, which means I could get lost in it for hours now. I don't think I've ever done this before. It's always a good sign when new things are happening with me when it comes to patterns and adding details and so on. This one is going to have one that comes down here as well. Oops. And it's going to go back up this way. So there's some more layering going on there. I would like to have a look. So if I bring this one down, this one can go back this way and can follow that back to there. It does want to go up here, so I'm going to complete that loop. Just add some little bits there, and so we've got some more of this kind of overlapping and overweaving. I think this one here is going to define the edge of this section more than anything, as this goes back up to the daisy there. And then this one can go around this way, back up. I'm not going to get anything in here really. I'm just going to leave that exactly as it is. I really am. And then I can add another one on this side. There was me saying that's as far as I'm going to go with these. Yeah, right, she says. Then I can perhaps add one that just goes here. Comes back here. We're finishing that section. I could do with something that perhaps just comes down here, curls up that way, and just finishes this section off here. So we've got some kind of nice-ish edge like this. And that's most probably I'm going to do something similar elsewhere. Now I've got this large section here where I don't have anything much in there, so I'm going to pop that in, tidy my line up there, also tidy that line up there, add a bit of that there. So that's filled that little gap in, and now I'm happy with that. These sections here I've got choices of things I can do, and for these bits I'm just going to draw my edge in, putting the odd deliberate wobble And I'm going to leave these sections as they are now because I will want to put a background colour in there perhaps, and then use either white or coloured gel pens, like the Jelly Roll Moonlights, for example, or fine liner pens of some kind or other, or maybe be brave with a very fine paintbrush and gold ink or pearlescent inks or something else that tones in with the background but is visible when it's caught in light in the other sections. Now then, I'm going to stop my outlining here because I don't know what's going to happen further along, and I am going to do, I say outlining, it's the edge, the border of my design. I'm just going to stop here, and I'm going to just stop it there because although I don't have anything here particularly, I think I'm going to add just a seed there just to close that little section off, and I may use those little seeds elsewhere in here because they'll be lovely to fill with metallic colours, and I may break out something like chalk pastels just to add some shading to that. I shall see. I really do like this. This intrigues me. You know, it's, I said I was going to finish. It's addictive now. There we go. So that actually looks much nicer as an edge there. Don't know if you agree or not, but I like that as an edge, just connecting these with those little bits of ink. I may find others that need ink. I bet some of you are shouting going, Angela, you've forgotten that one. Yeah, I may have. It's just 2 there, and that feels just an awkward number, so I'm just going to pop a little one in. Again, the line's only going to go that far because it'll be hidden behind here somewhere. I could take it up there, but I'm just going to leave it where it is for now. So I've added some elements to this, and like with the letter previously to this, was it an A? F. I've kept, no, the F I did quite a lot of different motifs, but on this one I'm going to try and keep it to a limited number. I'm likely to add more over here. I may actually put a line down here and say, right, that's okay, or turn it into a square shape. And go, right, I'm going up to there with this. I'll do more of these up here, but for now I'm going to say thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll give Drawing Daisies Angela style a go, and if you're not drawing them tucked behind each other, draw a full circle with an inner circle, and you do it exactly the same way except you work in a circle going round. You can either start at the middle of the circle and work out for these, or start at the outside and work in. Don't know if you'll end up with different way. They look differently. They most probably don't, because you can't tell a lot of difference between the ones I've done going out and in. Just trust what you do, and it'll be fine. And these are fun. The interweaving of them. I like that. Yeah. Happy bunny. So I'm going to get this video edited and uploaded to YouTube before I go to bed. It's 20 to 8 and I'm just about ready for bed. I kid you not, I'm exhausted, but I need a ton more drink before I go to bed today. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've gained something from it. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. So take care. Ta-ra for now. Bye.